Jim. He's dead.
Welcome to Improv Autopsy and part 2 of my interview with Charles Frierman. I teased some phone improv that Charles and I did as bonus episode content in the last episode, but decided to include it here instead. If he's willing, Charles and I will try our hand at phone-prov again, and that will be bonus content for the old Patreon. For the time being, I hope you enjoy listening to Charles and I muddle our way through our first attempt at some phone-prov, as well as Charles' answers to my Proust questionnaire. Let's get to it. Is there anything else, any other improv failures that stick in your mind, or anything else that you'd revisit if you could and change in any way?
I don't think so, because I feel like everything kind of made me learn.
Yeah.
So I think everything good or bad, kind of like, and I kind of feel like I'm not really good at a lot of things in the world, but I feel like in improv, I achieved my maximum potential, possibly. So I think everything, even mistakes. That's why I love improv, because when you're not good at stuff, something that relishes mistakes is the perfect thing for you.
Yeah. I agree.
Some of those early shows with you, Greg, and all them were some of my all-time highlight moments. Like, you talked about Doctor Who, but it's like one of those things where I wish I could even just go back in time and just even watch those shows.
Yeah.
And they may not have been as good as I remember, but I think on some level they're probably even better than I remember.
Yeah. Are you still doing the puppet thing?
Oh, yeah. That's every Saturday at 10. It's a delightful disaster.
Oh, and that's on Twitch?
Yeah, it's on Twitch.
Yeah, and that's 10 p.m.?
Yes, 10 p.m. It usually runs about an hour.
Okay.
But we usually run out of stuff in about 2 minutes. So you got about 58 minutes of just annoying puppets. It's really just my sister and her friends that watch me, but but it's still fun.
That's good. Anything else that I know? And you said you're teaching the kids, and you're still working at the library?
Yeah, I work at the library, and I do improv workshops at the library too.
Oh, the adults would come too?
I'm going to start the adults back up. It's the one I'm doing is for teens.
Okay.
I've had some good, I have some really good ones in there. Like they could. I told them that they should put together a Fringe show, and they're like, ah.
How is teaching for you, in being the introvert? We talked about hosting and being on stage. How did you get into teaching, and what was that like?
I don't know how I got into it. I think it was just because nobody really knew anything about improv at the college I was going to, and I wanted so desperately to do it.
Oh, yeah.
That I kind of, through necessity, had to figure out how to teach on the fly, and then I incorporated stuff I learned from the SAC classes. And actually, Richard Paul would actually drive all the way over to Lakeland from Orlando just to help me out with the group here and there. And he barely knew me from SAC. Maybe we met like twice, and he did that. So I'm always in huge debt to him for being such a nice guy and an ambassador to improv as well.
Yeah. When I was in college, one of the things they told us is that, your job as a theater artist is also to proselytize for theater, so that theater doesn't, die. It's not an art that dies. And I feel like for improv, we do that as well. And speaking of ambassadors, I feel like anyone that took a level 1 class from you, or any class from you, but especially level 1, like I said, because of just the amount of joy that you brought to it and putting people at ease, because that can be such an intimidating thing in level 1. And you were so great at putting everybody at ease and really enjoying every aspect of it, so that people could really let their guard down and be goofy and silly and risk things that they just wouldn't do in normal life, which is part of learning improv. And you've been a great ambassador for improv as well.
Oh, thanks. And also, there's like a handful of people, but every now and then, like someone like you will come along, and you're in my Improv 1 class, and I'm like, holy smokes, this guy's already better than me. Can't think of that. And like, I hope he doesn't find out what a fraud I am.
Nonsense.
So, just so you know, you're one of the people that thought crossed my mind. So.
I know you were part of enabling me to skip level 2, which I wanted to do for financial reasons as much as anything else, and I highly appreciate that you were able to get me into level 3, and I could skip level 2.
I'm glad they actually listened to
Yeah, you had more clout than you thought.
me. At least on that one where it counted. So,
Nice. All right, you ready for your actor studio questions?
all right, let's do it.
Okay. So, it doesn't have to be, it's not rapid fire, but it needs to be just short answer or whatever, just trying to learn a little bit about your process. This is my best,
If it's my process, it's a very short answer.
a very, my attempts to replicate some of the actor studio questions for improv, and some of them maybe a little whimsical, possibly. How do you get into the proper headspace to play?
It depends. Just, I think talking with your cast or just kind of bonding with your cast before the show helps. Whether it's doing warm-up games or just talking to them, just as long as you feel the camaraderie, then I think that's what it gets me going.
Do you feel that happens? This is a follow-up question. Do you feel that happens more with warm-ups or without? Because I know there's some people that would rather be alone just for a minute to collect themselves before going on stage, and warm-ups don't do anything for them, but some people are really into warm-ups. Would you rather do a warm-up, or would you rather just talk?
I'm pretty flexible. Like whatever people want to do, I go with it, as long as there's some kind of bonding.
Yeah.
I guess on some level, like when you go out there, I want to feel connected, I guess.
Yes. All right. What is your favorite get for?
I don't know. That's like if I'm hosting or just as a player or just when I ask for something.
Yeah, when you ask for something, what's your favorite question?
I
If you have
usually
one.
just, I don't even think I have one. I usually just something like, hey, what's something that makes you happy?
For a long time, my favorite one was, what other than dignity is something you'd never find in a Walmart? But invariably, those scenes would be in a Walmart,
Yeah.
and that's not what I wanted, so I had to stop using that get for. I was like, no, that was part of my get, not the suggestion. What is your least favorite suggestion?
I don't think I have one because any suggestion can be different every time. Like you get like dog 18 times and each scene would be different. So I don't think I have a least favorite.
Do you at all have any distaste for like the super specific pop culture stuff? Like when we were getting Charlie Sheen or Tiger Blood or Shake Weight, did any of those ever make you want to not do the scene?
It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't bother me. Like ideally when I go out there, I feel like I should be able to do some kind of version of anything. And half the time I don't even know what they're saying. So so what I'm giving them is not what they're asking for. So it usually doesn't bother me. And we can take any kind of take on it. Like if it was a Charlie Sheen thing, it could just start off with like seeing him on TV and turning the TV off or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's what a lot of groups feel or don't realize, is that it doesn't, if it's not something that's really inspiring you, it doesn't have to be integral to your scene. You can burn it real quick in the scene like that. Just it's something that's on TV or whatever, and then you're into the scene, and it doesn't have to be about that.
And Charlie Sheen's back in his cage.
Yeah, just end it that way. If different than yourself, describe your onstage persona.
I would say dramatically, because on stage I'm like kind of, I don't want to say fearless, but I'm willing to take a lot of chances. And off stage, I am a uber introvert, not extroverted at all. To the point where when my wife first started dating me, like she saw me on stage, and then like we would go out, and she's like, why are you doing this? You're not the same person. Just be like you are with my friends. I'm like, that's not me. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna hide in the corner.
Oh.
But she's extroverted, so like it turns out we're really good for each other because she pulls me out of my shell, and then like we kind of balance each other. So
good.
It's pretty nice.
I feel I'm more introverted socially than extroverted. And I think improv actually does appeal to a lot of people that are introverted for some reason, and they are able to do things on stage that you wouldn't normally do in real life. And you were always were you exhausted? Are you exhausted after every show?
Yeah, I was pretty tired because I put everything into it.
Yeah. And that was evident, not in like this guy looks like he's trying super hard or he's putting a lot of effort in, but you were just so high energy and so full of energy on stage that I could only imagine that afterward you'd be like, oh, I don't know how you drove back to Lakeland without falling asleep.
I think even more than that is keeping your mind in the show the whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is because I think that's the even more tiring part is like you got to stay alert because you can't really, like, even when the other scene's going on or whatever, you got to be ready.
Well, I mean, you don't have to. You can talk with.
Yeah, you can talk, but usually you have to be aware of what's happening.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't think that's true because I mean, so what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to be singing a song and you're going to.
But I was always a minimal props guy.
Yeah.
Because I felt the time it would take me to get a prop, I would miss something. So
yeah,
unless somebody threw one at me, then I rarely got a prop.
That's smart as well. I know there have been times where I was going to enter a scene, and by the time I got to the door in the back, just even if I was avoiding props but going for the door in the back, the moment had passed. And I mean, I imagine some of those times I entered anyway, and it wasn't so great. But sometimes just kind of like, well, the moment's passed, so I guess I'll go back to the stool.
I think early on I probably went for props, and I think I must have learned my lesson repeatedly. And then at the end, I'm like, I'm staying away from props.
I feel like over the course of when I was there too, there was at one point just oodles of props backstage, and that slowly got culled, and there weren't as many. There was maybe one or two wigs and a hat, and maybe that's just a cycle that happens.
Yeah, probably.
Do you have a favorite warm-up game or form that you've invented or modified?
Like a warm-up game?
Yeah.
I don't know. My favorite one now is one that I learned in Toronto in that Improv 1 class I recently took called Red Ball.
Okay.
Where one person has a red ball and they say red ball and they throw it to another person. They catch it and they say red ball. Then when they throw it, they say red ball and they pass it. Then there's a blue ball that's introduced. Then there's a crying baby. So you got all these things thrown around, and then at the end they stop it, and then you can see which one got lost or whatever, who still got what items. So it's kind of a good thing on staying focused and making sure you repeat what you say and that type of thing.
Nice. Did you have anything to do with the creation of Run Dog?
What is Run Dog?
Do Run Dog? Do the words bucket eligible mean anything to you?
Vaguely. What is?
So Run Dog was this crazy warm up that I feel like Dinger and Benji and Greg and I don't know who else. There was a bucket, and so for a long time, hacky sack was part of the warm up at SAC. Like when you got into ensemble, like that was part of what would be happening. So it wasn't your traditional sort of improv warm up, but they would just play hacky sack. And so there was a Run Dog bucket, and all of the rules were written on the bucket, and the rules kept expanding. But the rules were after 3 kicks, it was bucket eligible, and then the goal was to kick it into the bucket to get the hacky sack in the bucket.
I vaguely remember that now.
And then if I forget what it was, but if you tried and you missed, then everyone had to. So at Amelia Street SAC, it had been a restaurant, and there were 2 doors that led to the green room. One only opened out, and one only opened in, like restaurant doors, going into or out of the kitchen. And this was off to the side, not really right in front of the audience, but visible to, if you looked to your right, which would be stage left, there would be the doors. So there, it was visible and noticeable if you got real loud, but there's music going on for pre-show and whatnot. So if you missed, or I forget exactly what happened, but you had to form like a conga line and go nyuk, 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 out one door and back into the other before, while pre-show is just going on. So I don't know if anyone ever saw that and wondered what the heck was going on, but it was a little game called Run Dog that I cannot remember all the rules to.
It does sound vaguely familiar. I can't remember if I had anything to do with the creation, but hopefully I did, because it sounds really fun.
What inspires you on stage?
Just the fact that you're creating something.
Yeah.
And it's just the process of creating. So Like I said, even if it's like just a rehearsal or practice, to me it's that same thrill. I mean, admittedly, probably the energy's not going to be there with everybody, but it's the same thrill for me as on stage because you're creating something. It's a
Yeah.
different dynamic when it's live because you're creating with the audience. But even when creating a workshop, to me, it's just as exciting because that creation process is what makes it exciting, and finding that story that's never been told and will never be told again, probably.
Yeah. I love that. Is there anything or what shuts you down or takes you out of it on stage?
Mm, usually, probably if like there's angry altercation between somebody in the group and an audience member,
Okay.
then I think that takes me out of the show.
Yeah. Or if someone asks someone if their dialect was offensive.
Or, yeah, or that. Luckily, I wasn't in that show, but or if two like that would have taken me out probably too on that one where the guy started crying,
Yeah.
or like even if it's clear that somebody is mad at somebody else in the show,
Yeah.
those are the type of things. Like, as long as the unit feels whole to me, then I'm solid. But when that unit breaks for whatever reason, that's when my mind starts scrambling. Like, all right, damage control. How do we get this thing back? How do we get this thing back?
Yeah, and then you're not free to create because you're trying to hold the sheet over the thing you don't want people to see instead of,
Yeah,
you know, just being creative.
you're putting on band-aids instead of enjoying the or creating the moment.
Yeah. What is your favorite accent or dialect?
I don't know. These days, like it feels like because things have shifted, like dialects seem like they're offensive now.
Yeah.
But that's when I'm jealous of my friend Francisco because his dialects were always indecipherable, so nobody
Yes.
could really be upset about it.
Yeah.
So I would say Francisco dialect is my favorite dialect.
Yeah. What would you say he sounded like when he was trying to do? Because I feel like it's a combination of the teacher from Charlie Brown, and but actually saying words through the trumpet mute. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Maybe that and a Muppet was
Yeah.
involved,
Yes.
and some kind of vocal distortion.
Yeah.
But it was a thing of beauty. Like when you and I did Speak in One Voice, I would always laugh when he did his dialects.
Yeah.
It was just magical to me.
Ditto.
And in fairness to Francisco, he is fluent in probably at least two languages, maybe more. So
Yes.
the fact that he's even trying a dialect is like bravo. Like, I can barely speak English, and
Absolutely. And he always tried. That was the beauty of it as well. I mean, talk about
he is fearless.
yeah. And that was something that was a great thing to see in someone, a great lesson to learn is just like, yeah, he knew that his ability at it, he wasn't great at it by any means, but he was going to give it his all every time, and it was always hysterical.
So in a way, he was. It turns out he was the greatest at it because he always got the biggest applause and the biggest laugh.
Yes.
I mean, because it was so honest too. Like, it was him trying his best. Like, you couldn't imitate it because then it would just
Yeah.
sound fake and it
Right.
would not be funny. But because it was him, that was the joy of it.
That was always my beef with the bats with tag team monologue for the torture show. So SAC does a Halloween torture show every year, and one of the games is they do a tag team monologue where three people or however many people are telling the same monologue, and you tag in and you replace the person and you're the character or whatever. And so the bat version was you bend over, you put your head on a bat when you're not telling the monologue, and you're spinning around, running around as fast as you can in order to be, the idea being that you're getting really dizzy. And then you tag the person out and you're trying to stand there and do the monologue. And I don't know if that game is super funny in any context, but I felt
Right.
like for torture shows, a lot of people were trying to be fake dizzy, and that I thought was cringy.
I have to tell you, I did like 2 or 3 torture shows. I can't remember, but I committed so hard on that game that I now have a problem with motion sickness.
Oh, no.
I'm not kidding. I was fine before that, but like I spun myself sick like 3 years in a row or whatever, and now like if I look down in a car or if I'm in the back seat of a car, I get vertigo for days. So thank you, Tizzy Bats. Some, so it turns out those cringy people probably had the right idea.
Yeah. They just need to be better actors at pretending.
Yes, I
Like,
commit. I committed full out, and now I have a medical condition.
here are your options. You can really do this and end up with vertigo for the rest of your life, or you can fake do it and the audience will cringe. Why do we just not do the game?
Agreed. My wife's like, "Why did you do that show again?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
The worst one for me, see, it was the video game GoldenEye on Nintendo N64 or whatever. Whenever that came out, the original GoldenEye video game, that there are certain games I can no longer play because I think I played that so much with my brothers for a while. So there's like first person shooters and there's certain motion video games I just can't do anymore because that's when I feel ill. I was going somewhere else with that and now I've forgotten. But yeah, for Torture Show, I was always pretty okay with it, with everything, and then there was one year no one wanted to do the whatever it was when John mixes the gross cocktail of whatever. Is that
Yeah,
is that just like conducted story or something?
I think it was conducted story, and then you had to drink it if you missed.
Yeah, and there was one year where there was like had done it before and it was pretty okay, but I think it was the mixture of like toothpaste and cat food in this one,
God.
and I don't know what else was in there, but I almost threw up, I think, on stage, and so that was I don't do that one anymore. I wouldn't do that one again, but I don't think I have a medical condition.
There was one year they put me in that one, and I told John, like, or whoever, I think it had to have been John mixing it, but I'm allergic to jalapenos. And sure enough, I see the jalapeno bottle there. I'm like, and unfortunately, I died. So that's the one time I did fake thing. I pretended to take a swig, and I ran behind stage and threw up.
Yeah.
And then I just left the stage for intermission early. But I was not going to risk an allergic reaction for the Torture Show.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot."
I could be dead for real. They were just dead set on giving you a medical condition of some kind during the Torture Show.
Probably Dizzy Bats was my own fault, but
Okay. What is your favorite character?
I don't know. I don't have like great characters, I don't think. But
Yeah, I couldn't name a character either, I don't think, because it's not like I have any that recur. Is there a certain type of person you like to play?
I don't know. It feels like I either do like a little British kid, "Hello, sir," or like a principal type character, or I do like the stereotype lady with the hand on the head and the waist.
Yeah. Yes.
But
I can picture that.
so I do extreme characters, I think, and then they ease down from there. But they usually start on the extreme end and then wheel themselves into normalcy from there.
What do you find to be most helpful from the booth?
Just, I guess, just being present. Like, if you ask for something, it's there. Just like not forced. So like, if you throw something in, sometimes I love offers. Just like as long as they're present and listening to the show, I think.
Yeah. What is the least helpful from the booth?
I guess if they're not focused on the show, like missing blackouts or
Yeah.
just randomly doing stuff for a laugh, which sometimes is good, but it's the same with improv. Like if you're doing too much of it, it can kind of impede the flow of the scene.
Yeah.
But overall, I always love the booth, and I think their offers are just as important as the offers we give. So, and the same with piano, like
Yeah.
any kind of musical offer. Like I always consider them like an equal improviser because they are. So
I really miss the techs and the musicians from SAC. Even when I was in Chicago, that was I missed that because there's so much that they did bring so much to the table, and they do good work.
Yeah.
Other than laughter, what audience sound do you revel in?
I don't know, just happiness. It depends on the show, I think. So, I mean, sometimes those moments of awe can be great, like, oh, like it's a shock moment of a reveal or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think just kind of like with the tech and the audience and the piano player, you know, everything they give us is an offer as well. So
Yeah.
I think the fact that the audience is present, just like if we as improvisers are present, the tech is present, the musician's present. I think that's what makes the good show.
That's something that I think a lot of places, it's hard to teach, but the knowing how to use what the audience is giving you on stage and to respond to the audience.
That was the hardest part for me too initially, was because I am, like I told you, I'm super, super introverted. So in the very beginning, I used to dread talking to the audience, like it was the plague. But then I think hosting helped with it a lot. But then I kind of came to like really like the audience, and now like, you know, I consider the audience as improvisers as well.
Awesome. What is the best note you've ever received?
Hey, good job. We made it through that one.
What is the worst note you've ever received?
Oh, you didn't do so good on that one. I don't know if I got a "this whole show is your fault" note, but I guess that would be the worst.
Yeah, yes, I think that might be the worst. I can't imagine anyone.
Oh, I know the worst one I ever got, and I feel guilty about it to this day. I think it was one of my early shows hosting, not the early show, but one of my early hosting days.
Yeah.
And we were doing the show, and then like, man, I felt I was on fire. And we went back to the intermission, and Anthony Riley, the piano player, is like, you know, Charles, it'd be nice if you introduced me. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because I always try to be inclusive. I completely forgot to introduce him at the beginning of the show. And
Oh.
so, I mean, I learned a valuable lesson to be aware of everything.
Yeah.
So even now when I do shows, I thank everybody before the show even starts, just to make sure I don't forget at the end of the show.
Well, they always sting a little bit more when it's something that you had intended to do.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, I know to do that. How did I not do that? Oh, because it just makes you feel worse.
And like, he wasn't mad, but but when you mention it like that, you know it bothered him.
Yeah.
And the fact that it bothered him, and I prided myself in taking care of everybody as a host.
Yeah.
And it just like I said, to this day, I still feel bad about it. Like if I see Anthony, I'm like, oh man, I just want to apologize to him again from that mistake 70,000 years ago.
But when you see him, do you start with, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Riley? I'm so sorry.
You see, I learned.
I may still make it up for it. It's hard to get rid of some of those, and that's some of those feelings. That's also part of the reason for the podcast is try to find some of those. For years, I felt terrible about a thing that I did to my stage manager for a directing class scene that I was directing. I had a stage manager, and it was in rehearsal, and we were doing this little thing. It may have been an improv game because I think she was in improv, and I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little bit of water in this glass. And I think it was we were just playing like, what is it? The game where it's someone's sitting down and you try to get them to leave so you can take the seat.
Oh yeah. Bus stop?
Yeah. Bus stop. Just that dumb little exercise. And she was playing with us because the cast wasn't very big. So we were just kind of doing that to loosen up or whatever. And I put way too much water in the cup and then like drenched her with it when I threw it. And I mean, to this day, I still feel bad about that. Though I've talked to her about it since, and she's like, I don't even remember that, which made me feel a lot better. But I still remember it, obviously.
There was another thing that stuck with me, like one of my great errors was like remember I told you I ran the college group for a while,
Uh-huh.
and the other guy's like, well, we're going to do auditions to, because none of the theater people can do it. So we were having auditions, like people that come out that were interested. And then, like, we thought about it, and then they made the choices, and the other guy's like, okay, you can call them. So I was like, okay, I got to call the people that made it. So I called this one guy up, and he answered. He's like, hey, I'm like, okay, it's Charles with No Holds Barred. He's like, oh, do you want to talk to my roommate? And his roommate didn't make it. And his roommate had been loyal to he had come like to every show the year before. And so I wasn't even going to tell the people it didn't make it, but the roommate got on the phone. I'm like, ah. So I had to tell him he didn't make it. And like, I felt, to this day, I feel riddled with guilt. In my mind, I'm like, I should have just put him on the team. Because the other guy ended up not doing it. And that guy that I talked to didn't come to any more shows for like 2 years because he was hurt.
Yeah.
And I felt terrible. And from that point on, I promised myself, and I've stayed true to this, if I ever do anything with improv, I am handpicking people, and there's going to be no auditions. If there's going to be anybody saying no, it's them saying no to me.
Yeah. That's, even over the phone, that's like an introvert's worst nightmare.
Oh, it was. It wrecked my... Like I said, to this day, it's still... if I ever see that guy again, I'm so sorry. You should have been on the team.
Yeah, who are you?
I think I even gave some, hey, we're starting a workshop, too, in case you didn't make it, and you can workshop with the player. I think I said something like that on the phone, and he was not having any of it.
Oh, that is tough. A good reason for improv theaters to not have auditions. If there were an Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
Person who was there.
I wish there was an Academy Award for that. The Academy Award for the person who was there goes to...
This year's nominees are...
And there's just footage of them being there. I mean, that would be great for just bit players, background actors.
Yeah.
The Academy Award for being there goes to Guy with Turkey Leg from...
Yes! Yeah, so I think that would be my category for sure.
I love it. If you are remembered 100 years from now for something you did in improv, what would you want it to be?
What would I want it to be? I don't know, maybe after talking to you, that Cheese Maven song. It sounds like a classic moment.
100 years from now, hey, do you have the latest release of Charles Frierman's Cheese Maven?
Oh, dude, this is...
They finally added some background singers.
CGI.
We now can see the full scope of what he had in mind.
Man, this wouldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, it's so much better with the...
Oh, it loses the magic of the original, though.
Yeah, there's just something, it's just begging for more. The original, it's so forlorn.
It's kind of like the original is Plan 9 from Outer Space, that notoriously bad Ed Wood movie.
Yes.
But then if you tried to redo it and make it good, or even try to make it bad, then it just won't work. It's just that original train wreck is what makes it so good.
Yeah, and because of its sincerity. I find that to be true of movies too, like bad movies. If they're sincere, then they're watchable and enjoyable. But bad movies that aren't sincere,
that are trying to be bad, I hate.
Yeah, just it's like fake spinning on a bat.
Yeah.
And now, as promised, some phone prov, which is improv where we can hear each other but we cannot see each other at all. I did add some sound effects in post-production, but still, this is our first attempt, so please be kind. One I don't know if we can do, and which is to try to improvise something. So I don't. Do you have any? How should we? What can we do?
Can you like flip through a book and get like a random word or phrase or something, and we can go from there?
Sure. Tell me when to stop, Charles.
And stop.
All right. And the first word I came to is welcome.
Alrighty. Welcome, young man.
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet somebody.
Well, you're welcome here. It's as you can tell, we got the red carpet out. You're the first person that stepped foot on the red carpet.
Yeah. I'm tracking mud. I hope that's okay.
We don't care. We just want someone to walk the red carpet, my boy.
It's a little intimidating, the red carpet. I stood out there. I don't know if you saw me just outside, kind of in the shadow. It's very bright right here. I was over there, just standing for a while because it's very red. It's very bright.
Well, I mean, we can apologize for the color, but we wanted it bright and red to draw attention. You see, this is a brand new theater, and we need people to come to the theater.
And you thought scaring them was a good way?
We intended it to attract attention. The fact that we scared you, we do owe you a bit of apology.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I don't know your business. I don't know how to run a theater. I'm just here to meet somebody. And
now, if you do step on the red carpet, though, be careful of that piano that we have hoisted above it.
I can't even see where it is. The lights are too bright. Is there a mark on the carpet? Because I would not want to stand. I would not want to walk under that.
No, I mean, there's no real mark. I don't even know where it is. That's why I'm not on the carpet. But it's just kind of a thrill. You know, what if that piano falls on me? It kind of keeps you on your toes and awake for the show, if you know what I mean.
Is there a way I can enter the theater without walking any more on the red carpet?
Oh, you could go around it, but then the show wouldn't be as good.
What? Well, isn't the show inside?
Yeah, it's inside, sure, but you want to feel that tingle. Like if you're not feeling tingly when you go inside, then the first 20 minutes of the show is building that tingle up.
By tingle, you mean like tingle like your life is in danger?
Agreed. So you agree with me?
No, I'm just trying to be clear that that's what you meant. You like to feel like your life is in danger.
Yes. I mean, that's good. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not endangered. People could die any time, really. I mean, you could be endangered sitting there. What if you had a heart attack?
Well, true, that is true. But
And are you afraid of that? Are you afraid of that?
No.
Agreed. Now walk the red carpet and you shouldn't be afraid. Just a little tingle. When I say heart attack, you probably have a little tingle, right?
No, I'm not afraid of a heart attack. I'm in very good health. I walked here, so
I might let you know that my grandfather had a heart attack. He was about your age.
I'm not. It's genetic usually, so that should worry you. I think more than it worries me.
Oh, it does worry me. That's why I don't need to be on the red carpet.
Ah, see, I was going to ask about that because you seem to like the tingle, and yet you're not on the carpet where you.
Yeah, I have to live with that heart attack feel. I didn't just pull that out of the air. That's something near and dear to my, should I say, heart.
And you set all of this up just to replicate that for others.
Yes.
I don't know if
because I know if I'm in a theater and I get a huge scare, that could be it for me. Because I have that fear that my heart could go. Now, if you have that fear that a piano falls on you or razor blades come out of the seat or anything like that, then, sure, you have that same fear. It's a real horror movie then.
Are there razor blades rigged to come out of various seats?
I can't say yes or no to that. Just like I can't say yes or no to that you're going to have a heart attack or that the piano would actually fall on you.
That seems like a very specific thing to have just made up, though, as far as fears go. I don't know if any movie is worth the risk of first getting squashed by a piano and second getting severely injured by razor blades.
I mean, then horror movies just aren't for you. Who are you meeting anyhow? You said you were meeting somebody?
Yeah, it's a date. It's a date.
About 5'3",
Yeah.
red hair.
Yes.
Oh, she's already inside.
She just walked. She's walked
She
right
had no
in.
fear. Oh, I gave her the spiel. She
Well,
didn't even care that there's a snake in the theater.
What? What kind of snake?
Oh, highly venomous.
Why would the liability insurance must be through the roof?
If you don't get bit, we don't get sued.
Yeah, but there's still the possibility.
Oh, snakes are timid creatures unless you're like yelling at them.
What?
I mean, just look where you're going to sit. If they're on the seat and you sit down, then oh, that might be an issue. But we give you flashlights when you walk in so you can just look at the seat.
Yeah, but I also feel like the seat that the snake is on is probably less likely to have razor blades. So that's the seat that I want.
Oh, fair. I mean, yeah, pick your poison.
Okay, all right. Well, if she's in there, what? Her name was Stacy?
I didn't ask her name. I just said, like I didn't ask your name.
Yeah, you did not.
I could care less, really, just as long as you're in that theater.
Well, I want to be, but there's a lot of things preventing me.
Look, we even charge on the way out. You don't see me asking for money, right?
No.
So we guarantee a scary time, and then I think you'll feel that thrill was worth the payment. We even take how much of a scare you got. We have a camera on you the whole time, and for every scream you give, we charge. That's how confident we are in our horror movies.
How much do you charge per scream?
Oh,
I'm obviously
it's
a
only
good mark.
$1 a scream. It's
Okay.
cheap. I mean, you could get out of here without paying a cent. No one ever has.
Okay. All right. So, is there anything else I should be aware of before going? And you say I am allowed to bypass the red carpet.
Oh yeah, you can bypass it.
Okay. But there still might be razor blades, and there's definitely a snake.
Oh yeah, amongst other things.
What? I mean, not knowing is almost as bad. I mean, as
Exactly. Like, my heart is not going to tell me when it's going to give out. And that's the scary part. The fact that you don't know what's going to get you is what makes it a thrill. Like if I said, oh, a razor blade's going to cut off your left leg at approximately 15 minutes into the film, then you'll feel afraid for the first 15 minutes. And once that happens, you're good to go.
well,
Or if it doesn't happen, then you're like, what a ripoff this was.
No, I would not think that. If my leg did not get cut off, I would not think this was a ripoff. And I'm definitely going to be afraid for the first 15 minutes.
If we promised you your leg would be cut off in the first 15 minutes and it didn't happen, you would not feel some kind of relief?
That it didn't happen?
Yes.
I would feel relieved that it did not happen.
Aha. So that level of enjoyment comes. At the 15-minute mark, would you scream?
If something started cutting my leg off, I would scream.
Even if it didn't? Maybe you just heard a noise.
It depends. Yeah, I could envision myself screaming.
Ah, that's the joy of the horror movie. Do you see now?
I'm filled with regret.
Like if you're just watching a movie and something goes blah, you're like, oh, that was kind of a jumpy thing. But this time you're really concerned for the first 15 minutes. Oh, my leg. And then if it does happen, doesn't happen, whatever, you have some kind of true reaction.
Okay. All right. At this point, I have to assume this is a marketing gimmick.
Oh, yeah, assume away.
Like when the Vincent Price movie with the brain creature or whatever, like they had one that they would throw out in the audience or whatever, that kind of thing. When Hitchcock had the speakers in the trees with the sound of birds cawing, that's that kind of thing is what I have to assume this is.
Innovators of their time, but we've taken it a step forward, so you are correct in a way.
I mean, there's an actual piano up there.
Yeah, look.
I'm blinded by the lights.
That's sort of the point. I mean, if you saw where the piano was, you would avoid it, right?
Yes. Any sane person would.
Agreed. But if you don't know where it is, it's that thrill, that scare that it could fall on you. Even if somebody that's like, I don't believe you, it's just a gimmick. It's still a chance. And that thrill is what you're paying for.
All right.
Like I could drop a sack of rocks behind you. You think it's the piano. You scream. Already. The thrills are sky high. If you're alive, you're laughing and you're jovial. And if you're dead, who cares? You don't pay.
But I don't have to pay for that one because I'm not in the theater.
Right. Right, that's one on the house.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to go in there because she's in there, and I'm going to try to get her to come out, and we can go somewhere else.
Well, no, do what you want. I think she might be having a good time.
Is it started? The movie started?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, you're a little bit late, not too much. Probably still previews. You might want to use these gloves.
What? They're heavy. These are very heavy gloves.
Yes, some of the doors are shocked.
What? You've electrified the doors?
Some of them, not all of them. But this will protect you mostly, like you'll just give a little buzz. Now, if you wanna go all out, you can do it without the gloves, but I don't advise it.
I'll take the gloves.
Fair enough.
I'll return them to you shortly.
Very good. You don't have to. They're on the house if you make it out.
Oh, all right. All right.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
If you make it out.
All right. I'm gonna go in there.
Is that a threat?
No, I'm just judging your reaction.
I mean, I don't care if you do or you don't. Your girl's in there.
Yeah.
Or at least she was.
Oh. What is there another exit? Is there a fire exit she got out?
I'm just saying was in the ethereal sense. Like, I mean, anything could have happened at this point.
All right.
We don't check for bodies till at the end of the show.
Okay. This has been enlightening.
Enlightening? Was that because of the lights above you?
No. I'll have a good one.
All right. I'm watching.
This door is locked. I cannot open the door from inside.
Wait, you're inside?
I just walked in and I had a change of heart and I cannot open the door.
Yeah. Well, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You probably just enjoy the movie. We'll keep you locked in. You're safe.
Any concessions I need to stay away from?
What type of concession do you want to make?
No, I mean like popcorn. I wanted popcorn.
Oh, sure. Go ahead and get the popcorn.
Okay.
Eat as much as you want.
Okay. All right then.
Is it good?
It's very buttery.
You're very brave. Most people don't eat it after my initial spiel.
Well, you didn't indicate there was anything wrong with the popcorn.
That's the beauty of horror movie. I don't have to indicate anything.
Oh, crap.
I guess we can end it there.
Are you sure?
Oh, I love that. That's some of that $2 logic coming out.
we had that big payoff.
Yeah, I was trying. I didn't know how to pay it off. It's so hard. I should have screamed. Yeah, I also I didn't know whether to do I'm walking inside. It was just a character piece.
I love those failures.
Hey, we needed to illustrate
improv autopsy.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the bottom of this. Somehow I think the film that guy's watching, or the film that guy was going to be watching was what he did going into the theater.
He's just going to be watching himself?
Yeah, he's watching himself talk to this guy about whether he wants to go to the theater or not. So it's a true horror movie all the way around.
While the piano slowly moves overhead.
He's like, an hour of this? I just did it. Why do I have to watch this again?
I shouldn't have talked to him for so long. And that wraps up part 2 of my interview with Charles Frierman. I hope you enjoyed it. You can interact with Charles via his weekly solo improvised puppet show, Roy Rogers the Puppet Pirate, on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Roy Rogers the Puppet Pirate, all one word. For more information and or to support the podcast and get access to bonus content, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/improvautopsy. If there is anyone you'd like me to interview, additional questions you have for me or any of my guests, or you'd like me and or one of my guests to autopsy a show of yours that's accessible online, you can contact me by sending a message to improvbrain@gmail.com or reaching out through one of the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.